I am Belle, and you may know me from The Beauty and the Beast, but my original story isn't what Disney told you. Prepare for me to ruin your childhood, and let me tell you my story from the Grimm brothers. Once upon a time, my father, a merchant, set off for the market. My father asked each of his 3 daughters what she would like as a present upon his return. My older sisters desired extravagant things like a brocade dress and a pearl necklace, but I, Belle, the youngest and most kind-hearted of us all, simply asked for a rose that my father would personally pick for me. When my father finished his business, he began his journey back home. However, he suddenly caught in a violent storm that battered his horse and made progress nearly impossible. He was losing hope of finding shelter when a glimmer of light caught his attention in the midst of the woods. As he approached, he discovered a majestic castle, illuminated from within. Hoping to find refuge for the night, my father reached the castle's door, which was oddly ajar. Despite his calls for assistance, no one appeared to greet him. Gathering courage, he entered and continued calling out, hoping to attract someone's attention. To his surprise, he found a magnificent feast laid out on a table in the main hall. Starving and weary, he could not resist the temptation and decided to partake in the bountiful meal. Driven by curiosity, he ventured further into the castle, exploring the grand rooms and halls. In one of the rooms, a crackling fire and a cozy bed beckoned to him, and exhaustion overcame him. He fell into a deep sleep. The following morning, as he woke up, he discovered a warm cup of coffee and a platter of fresh fruit placed by his bedside, seemingly left by an unseen hand. He quickly refreshed himself and descended the stairs to express his gratitude to his mysterious host, but much like the previous evening, there was no one in sight. Bewildered by the peculiar circumstances, he made his way to the garden where his horse was tethered. There, a vibrant rose bush caught his eye, and he remembered my promise to me. He reached out to pluck a rose, only to be confronted by a monstrous beast that appeared out of nowhere. It accused my father of theft and threatened his life, leaving him trembling with fear. "Forgive me! Forgive me! Don't kill me! I'll do anything you say." "The rose wasn't for me, it was for my daughter Beauty," he said. "I promised to bring her back a rose from my journey," he said. The beast dropped the paw it had clamped on the unhappy merchant. "I shall spare your life, but on one condition, that you bring me your daughter." My father, terror-stricken, faced with certain death if he did not obey, promised that he would do so. When he reached home in tears, we ran to greet him. After he had told us of his dreadful adventure, I put his mind at rest immediately. "Dear father, I'd do anything for you. Don't worry, you'll be able to keep your promise and save your life. Take me to the castle. I'll stay there in your place." The merchant hugged his daughter. Desperate to save my father, I fell to my knees before the beast, pleading for mercy. I explained that the rose was meant for me, a gift from my father as he had promised. The beast, moved by my words, spared my father's life on the condition that I, Beauty, would take his place as a prisoner in the castle. Without hesitation, driven by love and selflessness, I agreed to fulfill the beast's demand. Initially terrified by the beast's appearance, I gradually discovered the kindness and depth within its heart through our conversations. Surprisingly, the beast's demeanor softened, and it even proposed marriage to me. Understanding my hesitation due to its monstrous form, the beast bore no offense and instead bestowed upon me a magical mirror. This enchanted mirror allowed me to see my family, providing solace and connection in my lonely moments. One day, while gazing into the mirror, I learned of my father's grave illness. Overwhelmed with worry and longing to be by his side, I expressed my desire to visit him. The beast initially refused, but later relented under the condition that I returned within 7 days. With a heavy heart, I left the castle and rushed to my father's side. My presence brought him comfort and joy, and I shared stories of the beast's kindness and goodness. Days passed quickly, and I lost track of time, realizing that I had exceeded the agreed-upon 7 days. Consumed by fear for the beast's life, I hurriedly returned to the castle, dreading the possibility of finding it lifeless. As I entered the garden, my nightmare seemed to come true. I discovered the beast lying motionless, as if dead. Overwhelmed with grief and love, I threw myself upon it, embracing it tightly, and declaring my willingness to marry it. In that moment, a miraculous transformation occurred. The beast's monstrous visage dissolved, revealing the face of a handsome young prince. He explained that he had been under a curse, trapped in the form of a beast by an evil witch. Only the love of a maiden willing to accept him as he was could break the spell and restore him to his true self. Overjoyed, we were married shortly thereafter, and the castle became known as the Castle of the Rose, adorned with roses in honor of our love. From that day forward, we lived happily ever after, cherishing the beauty within each other's hearts.